All right, Johnsy, I know we got a lot to discuss here. One thing, because I don't know how much of you heard or not, but Ben, both at halftime to Aaron Andrews and his post-game presser, mentioned about how this was a simpler game plan, which was part of why he was so disappointed in how they played. He said he let them know that. You were in the locker room, so I'm curious on maybe how that was all received. But I also kind of want to get your reaction, and I'm sure we can talk about it more in depth on Hogan Johns tomorrow as well. Just, I want to know why it was a simpler game plan, because it to me that almost sends like a mixed message. In that I'm not saying can defend maybe the lack of urgency that they came out with, but I would like more details on why, and not that you necessarily know them. It's just I'm just interested in your reaction to that, because when we heard that at halftime, Woot and I both were like, wait a minute, why? You're either all in this game or you're not.
Yeah, I think we need more answers from Ben Johnson when he's not as, well, incensed or infuriated as he was after the game. I want to say, Adam, that was the angriest that I have seen him. And I just watched the video. I had heard about it in the locker room afterward from some reporters who were in the room with Ben Johnson that he was angry. Then I heard Caleb Williams was angry. And even just looking back or rewatching what Caleb was saying, I think that's the angriest I've seen Caleb Williams. Like in the locker room, you could feel the frustration. You could hear the frustration. You could see the anger from the players. They wanted to end this regular season and go into the postseason on a high note. But then I think everyone saw it from Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in their post-game interviews too.
I like hearing that. Let's go.
Well, how did it seem to resonate then in the locker room and just in their anger level? Did it reflect the head coach?
No, I think so. I think so. There's a sense of disappointment. One, I think Jaquan Brisker probably put it the best way. Actually, a couple players did. They're playing the Lions. They should have been motivated to play the Lions, especially after what happened in week 2, where they dropped a 50-burger on the Chicago Bears in Detroit. And I think there's this sense in the locker room that the Bears wanted to deliver this win for Ben Johnson, facing his former team. I mean, Caleb Williams literally walked into the stadium wearing Ben Johnson's high school jersey. If that's not a message about wanting to deliver this win for their head coach, I don't know what is. So that disappointment's in the locker room. Then I think just in general, they wanted to feel good about what they're doing heading into the playoffs. And you got that sense from Kevin Byard. You got that sense from Jalen Johnson. You got that sense from DeAndre Swift, where they're upset that they're going into the playoffs with a 2-game losing streak. One of those games, losing a shootout in San Francisco, where we saw the defense give up a lot of points. And then the other game here at Soldier Field, where you saw the offense only score 16 points when Ben Johnson clearly wanted a lot more than that.
So, Johnsy, on the offensive side of the ball, you look at what the Bears have done well consistently all year running the football. You look at this game, 16 carries between Monangai and Swift. Is any concern of that in the game plan? Like, especially it's a 2-score game, it's still tight, them not really trying to get their running game going?
I think they did. And I just wonder if it wasn't working to the level that Ben Johnson had confidence in it to consistently deliver the yardage that he was seeking on some plays. I thought the Detroit defense, for as banged up as they are, for as malign as they are this season, they played really well against the Chicago Bears. That's probably the part of the frustration you're hearing from Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, where they probably thought going into this that they should be able to exploit some of the injury situations on the Lions defense. So it's another one of those games where you're wondering why there's not more carries by the end of it. And I think we'll get more answers later this week from Ben Johnson after he goes through the film. And he's not as hot as he is in his post-game interview.
Johnsy, we played Kevin Byard earlier, and I thought it was interesting him talking about, them getting beat sort of one-on-one by some really good, fast players. We get it. And he's like, he said it, credit to him. He's like, we know it's coming. So, we got to play better and stop it. I know you talked to Jaquan Brisker as well. This has sort of been a theme now, whether it was the Packers running away from some of these Bears defensive backs in one-on-one coverage, whether it was the Diggs and getting high load last week in San Francisco. There was a little bit of both of that today. Now against the Lions, what did you learn from talking to these guys? And I know we got Brisker to play too if you want to go to it.
Yeah, I think we should play Brisker, but I think right now the book is out on the Chicago Bears, that they are beatable over the middle of the field if you get them in the right coverage, specifically man coverage. And if that defensive line, which has been up and down all season, doesn't deliver some pressure, then you should be able to take advantage of these defensive backs, again, over the middle of the field. So if you want to play Brisker, I think he explains this pretty well about what happened here against the Detroit Lions tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be another tough game, rival game. They got great offense, but we got to get after them as a defense. We just got to get on the same page, do what we got to do, take the ball away, get stops, get the ball back to Caleb in the offense, let them do what they do, and try to get turnovers, really. So just play our type of defense.
Jalen said that they kind of used their strength against you, getting a lot of stuff in the middle of the field, their offense against your defense. Why was that? Why were they able to get away with that so easily, it seems like?
And we're playing a whole bunch of man today. No help in the middle. A lot of, picks, rubs. Really they schemed us up, and, we just had to do a better job covering. They just get us in the right call. They just out-schemed us, really. Just be honest.
Did it feel flat? First half feel flat to you?
I mean, I was turned, but
everybody else though.
Let me see. Yeah, it was 13-0. Yeah, it was flat. To me, it was flat. We was at home. It was flat. Yeah, think about it. Yeah, it was flat. It was bad. We was at home, playing against Detroit. I would thought, they beat us 52-21 last time. Obviously, vengeance came from there. I think we'd be a lot more motivated, but it came out flat, like you said.
Do you think some of that was creeping in to the playoffs, kind of creeping into your mindset, kind of looking ahead as a unit?
As a unit?
Yeah. I mean, just honestly.
No. I feel like everybody want to get the win. I mean, we know what was at stake. We really trying to keep the number 2 seed and try to win. And obviously, like I said, we got beat by 52-21 to these boys earlier. And, Ben came from there. And I just feel like, we were motivated enough, to win today after what happened week 2.
How do you assess just how good the red zone defense was by and large, where everything else went wrong?
Mm-hmm. I feel like the red zone defense was pretty good today. We held them to 3 points, almost had a couple turnovers in the red, but that's a good offense stopping them down there in the red, and obviously kept us in the game to the end, and we just didn't get it done. But I feel like the red zone defense was pretty good.
You've been waiting.
All right, so there's Jaquan Brisker, and they out-schemed us. That was an interesting answer, I thought, Johnsy, because there's probably some truth to that. There was also a lot of one-on-one, just guys getting beat, I thought, at the same time. So what did you make of all that? You were there.
Well, that's part of the scheme. It's finding those matchups and exploiting them. And what I thought of in the moment was the last time the Bears said similar things, and that was against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, where they felt after that game that they had, it was Jaquan Brisker talking, it was Kevin Byard talking, where they felt like the Packers, who the Bears are about to see here in a week, had the right answers for their defense that night in Lambeau Field. Obviously, Dennis Allen adjusted, and they were better in the rematch, but I don't know, guys. I mean, like, how do you feel about that, Corey? You've played this game. When you hear a player say they were out-schemed heading into the playoffs, like, that can't be a good feeling right now in the locker room.
No, not at all, because you're playing the blame game at that point. At the end of the day, I feel like they've had good schemes put together, but at the end of the day, you have to go out there and execute. And Lance and Jerry, we're on here talking about the different things that we've seen from Amon-Ra St. Brown all year, Jameson Williams, some of the crossing routes, and they know it's coming, but they're not getting their hands on him or they're playing soft in the coverage. So at the end of the day, I guarantee Dennis Allen had a great game plan, but it's about them going out there and executing. And we've talked about this. This Bears team looks significantly slower than what we saw about 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They look like a slow team. They're playing off people. They're not hustling, right? Jalen Johnson making business decisions out there. Jameson Williams beats him. He's jogging to the football. There's a running back coming. He kind of over there makes a business decision not to put his shoulder in there. So stuff like that is creeping in, and that's something that we were talking about on Players Only.
Johns, what do you think they –
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Answer that.
I was going to say, I don't think Jalen Johnson is healthy. I don't think he's where he wants to be physically. Now, he did meet with the media afterwards, but again, like before this game and really since his return. He's been going through these extensive, I want to call them workouts, to try to get back up to speed where he's feeling good physically. And I'm not making excuses for him, Corey, but I just think like you see some of his, I don't want to say it's not lack of preparation. He's just not feeling like himself. He's not where he needs to be physically to be the difference maker that he expects himself to be every single time he takes the field.
So I couldn't agree with you more on that, but I think as a player and the coaching staff, they need to come together and say, listen, the way he's playing right now, let's go with Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, you got drafted a guy in the second round.
Exactly.
He's not even playing.
And I understand.
I was surprised he didn't play especially after the play you just talked about, Corey. Yeah. We're talking here in the press box. Like I'm surprised number 29 hasn't taken the field. Like at least get him some opportunities here going to the playoffs, because right now it looks like you might need Tyreek Stevenson in some capacity.
Yeah, because I feel like if you look at the secondary as a whole, right now the weakest link right now it was one of your best players before, and he's just not healthy. So I feel like they should go with Tyreek Stevenson unless Jalen Johnson gets significantly healthier by this time next week.
Do we know if he was healthy? Like
Tyreek's
been
Stevenson? Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, since the illnesses have hit Halisol, it's hard to keep track of who's dealing with what, because new names keep popping up there. But I was surprised they didn't do the rotation more. Usually we take note of that at some time during the game. So I'm interested to see what the snap counts are. Maybe we missed something out there, but usually in terms of Jalen Johnson's activity, he's been coming in and out for certain series, as whether it's Tyreek Stevenson coming in or Deshaun Wright in some way, shape, or form takes the field more.
Well, my intuition is that was a hip injury that knocked him out last time. I just wonder if that's something like he needs, to have assessed in the offseason or something like that, because you don't have to be on the injury report if you're participating in all your snaps.
Right, I got
right?
it.
So
that's what I'm saying.
But the fact that he isn't on the injury report and Jalen Johnson isn't on the injury report anymore, and one looks like a shell of himself and the other one's not playing, is very, very, very confusing. And I actually, to defend Jaquan Brisker a little bit too, I gave Dennis Allen a lot of credit earlier in the season for the adjustments he was making, and on a week-to-week basis figuring this all out. Now they're just playing the same. Like I'll say this for like the fourth week in a row. I don't understand why DeMarco Jackson doesn't play more. He's faster than the other two linebackers. I get the other two get paid a lot of money, and their contracts add up to $100 million or whatever it is. One of the dudes is faster, and they lack speed right now. I don't get it. I do not get it. And these are the adjustments that if I was a player out there, I would start to be wondering why my defensive coordinator is just running the same thing out there over and over again. So while I don't like to hear it, I also understand where Jaquan Brisker's coming from.
And the other part of this conversation, have you talked about C.J. Gardner-Johnson's injury? He did not look good coming off the field, and he did not look good later in the locker room where he was having a long discussion with head trainer Andre Tucker. So I know Ben Johnson, unless I missed it, I don't think he provided a full update. I'm sure that'll come later this week. Yeah, so it doesn't look good or feel good. Just what I'm seeing in the locker room from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He looked honestly like he was in pain as he moved through everybody to get to his stall.
What about Cole Kmet, who took that big hit on the two-point conversion?
Did not see him, which is another alarming thing. Usually in my experiences, when you see the players in the locker room, that's usually a positive sign. But when he's not there initially and doesn't return whatsoever, and usually a member of the training staff comes and gets his stuff out of his locker to take to him where he's getting treatment or he's somewhere else resting, that's not a good sign either. And we know Cole, like the first game he missed in his entire career, right, was earlier this year with a concussion. We saw him holding his head in the end zone after making that two-point conversion.
We're going to play Caleb after you get out of here, Johns, in a second, but can you just reminding back and finishing up with this, what did you see from Caleb again in the locker room?
So, no, what I saw, I watched the press conference, and I think you guys will see how fiery and upset he is with his performance, with everyone's performance in this game. It was some of the shortest answers that he's delivered, I want to say, yet so far. You could see the anger. You could hear the anger in his voice. So, interested to hear your thoughts after you guys play him.
Okay. Johns, this game is basically opened up as a pick-em as we let you go. Gut feeling, what's your confidence level in the Bears bouncing back against the Packers in round 3?
I think they could use this anger to their advantage. I hope Ben Johnson can. I think it's another test of everything that Ben Johnson has kind of installed culture-wise and even scheme-wise, especially after what he said about this being a simpler game plan against the Detroit Lions. Who knows? Maybe he didn't want to put any extra stuff on film for the Packers to figure out. Maybe the Bears just used a bunch of old stuff. But anyway, you would think that the Bears would have the right mindset come Wednesday when they really flip the page. It's the Green Bay Packers. If they were flat today, I can't imagine that game being flat whatsoever once the opening kickoff happens, whenever that game time is settled. Have they decided when that game is? I would think it's Saturday or Sunday night.
After the Sunday
My
night,
guess
they're going
is
to
they announced it at halftime of the Sunday night game or after the game.
Yeah, they said it'll be after the game.
Okay. What a bunch of selfish.
I would
TV.
bet Sunday night.
You going Sunday night? I'm going same late afternoon window.
I'm going to go 3:25.
Yeah, I bet Sunday 3:30.
3:30. Okay.
They love the Packers in that window, and now they seemingly love the Bears in that window too.
Johnsy, great stuff all day, my brother.
See you, boys.